And we are live on our Shitlord Preachers. This is episode
right.
7. And my name is Amos Joseph. I'm joined today by Brook Potter in the
What's up?
Eastern time zone versus
Yes.
he is not on Greenwich Mean Time anymore, everyone. He is
or BST, British Standard Time. I am actually Eastern Standard Time, thanks to the modern invention of flight that we know was done by Yabongo in like the 14th minus 14,000 BC in Africa. He created flight, you know that.
For those of you who don't get that joke, if you guys go look up a certain individual by the name of Tariq Nasheed and some documentaries he's been in and been a part of, there is widespread. Well, I shouldn't say widespread. It's dishonest. There is a small corner of, I guess, somewhere between conspiracy theories, Egyptology, archaeology that believes that that basically everything that has made Western civilization what it is has been widely contributed by a lot of the, I guess you could say, the progenitors to humanity, being
the black man.
The black man.
Yes.
I mean, so, like they said, they believe, Atlanteans were probably black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Greeks were definitely black.
Yeah.
Mozart was black.
Ninjas and samurai were black.
Yeah. So the original Jews were black, but the Egyptians were also black. So the blacks was enslaving the blacks in Egypt. I'm not sure quite how that works, but
which is interesting though, because that is kind of what happened with the slave trade, though.
Ironically, are we going down that road? Are we doing slavery? Oh my god!
We're just having a little fun here. So yeah, this is the Shitlord Preachers live stream / podcast where Brook Potter and I, who have been friends for a few years, we both were involved in as preachers, ministers, and basically kind of switched over from the whole religion thing to, sort of dealing with a lot of Christians and stuff. We moved it over to, I guess, a wider audience, a bigger stage, dealing with politics and social issues. So yeah, I'm actually here in Minnesota in Central Time. So Brook and I are only an hour apart.
So I'm in the future.
He is an hour. Well, you were in the future for a while, though.
I was like 6 or 5 hours ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 hours in the future.
So I'm now down to 1 hour in the future.
Yeah. But so a couple things we're going to talk about, I guess. We kind of whipped this together, but Brook brought up the Hillary Clinton's new book.
Yeah.
What Happened by Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Now we don't actually know if it's a question because there is no punctuation on this thing. So it's just what happened.
As a
Hillary
statement.
We don't even know. It's not a question mark. It's not a full stop. So the reader, I guess, is allowed to interpret that as they want.
Right.
So we're not sure if she's saying what happened is the following, or it's like what the fuck happened, like a question. Like we don't know. Most people are taking it to the latter extreme, basically that she doesn't understand what the fuck happened. But yeah. But before I get into that, yes, everybody, I am Brook Potter. For those of you who don't know, I am presently in the twin island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, this is actually where I've been born and raised. I've been living in the UK for the last 7 months. I've come back here to do some family business, to take care of some family issues and stuff like that. So I'll be here for a couple of weeks. But yeah, as I said, what Amos kind of introduced us there was accurate. We used to be involved in ministry, and this was, a lot of the things that we saw in ministry, a lot of the manipulation and literally some of the mind control and the things that cause like cognitive dissonance. We see a lot of that in the public arena. And at least for me, I know this was the much bigger fight. I thought this was something that we really needed to address. And so we started this podcast, and Amos and myself have been doing videos on YouTube now. I have like a lifestyle channel where I explore my trip out to the UK and I discuss, politics and relationships and other things. So just wanted to put that out there for anybody who might be joining us for the first time. But yeah, Hillary's book, man. Oh my God, talk about ass cancer.
So this Hillary's book, for those also who don't know, today is there's an event going on at UC Berkeley, the controversial University of California at Berkeley, the hub of absolutist free speech, no longer. Today,
happened, man?
Conservative talk show host / commentator, very politically active individual by the name of Ben Shapiro. For those of you who don't know, he is editor at large at
the Daily Wire.
At the Daily Wire, he was one of the people over at Breitbart, and also he did it for a short time. He did something called Truth Revolt. So basically, he is going over to Berkeley to speak today. I think they had 1,000 seats. And what had basically happened, what just might happen here is very controversial, I guess, is because he is a conservative, and Berkeley has been having a lot of, I guess you could say, unrest. They haven't really allowed much for conservative speakers, let alone anyone right of them, essentially.
Or Bernie Sanders, or Lenin.
Yeah. So he's going there, and through just a lot of the red tape and everything that they basically put him through to allow him to speak. He's finally going to speak there, but it's supposed to be, they're doing everything they can. The left is doing everything they can there to basically discourage people from going, disrupt the meeting, his speaking engagement, and it's just overall just trying to shove as much bad publicity as possible.
Right.
So we're going to talk about, I guess, those topics, but also pertaining to like sort of what kind of topics, what kind of subjects those bring up. For example, like we're going to start off here with Hillary's book.
Have you read it? I mean, I haven't read it yet, right?
Well, I don't think anyone, very few people who are commentating on it have read it. Basically, from what I've heard, is just she's basically stating a lot of different things that basically from the campaign leading up to the election, and then they did an interview with her basically talking about the book as well. And she is either she's oblivious or she's just really stupid. What have you heard about it?
I'm looking for this fantastic graphic of all the things. Right, here we go. This is it. Let me see if I can share this with the group.
Actually, you can.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, how do I share stuff with this?
Screen share on the top left there.
Right. Application. It's not letting me do that. Oh, here we go. Right. So if I share this, can you see that?
Yep.
Right. So for those who have reviewed, or at least partook of the ass cancer that is Hillary Clinton's new biography, this is the compiled list of everybody that she blames for her failure to get elected. It includes the FBI, James Comey, the director, the Russians, Vladimir Putin, anti-American forces, low-informed voters, everyone else who assumed that she would win, bad polling numbers, Obama for winning 2 terms, people wanting change, misogynists, suburban women, the New York Times, television executives, cable news, Netflix. Democrats not making the right documentaries, Facebook, Twitter, WikiLeaks, fake news, contents farmers in Macedonia. The Republican Party, the Democratic Party, right? Oh my
Jesus.
God. All right. Can you see it? Can you see what I've shared?
No,
right?
no, yeah, I've highlighted. So you're the.
Okay. I hope it's going out to everybody. I can't say for sure.
So let's
right.
break each of these
Content
down.
farmers in Macedonia, for fuck's sake.
What are content farms in Macedonia?
I have no fucking clue. It's some kind of online, people who like probably filter information for websites or something like that.
Like farms and shit.
Like kings and shit, right? It's like they obviously let's find out. Hold on. What the fuck?
I'm googling this too.
Yeah, you pull up Google.
In the context of the World Wide Web, a content farm is a company that employs large numbers of freelance writers to generate large amounts of textual content, which is specifically designed to satisfy algorithms for maximum retrieval by automated search engines.
Right.
Oh, so they're basically just you ever seen those pages with the like top 10 reasons, this, that, or the other, and then you click on it and it's got like literally ads upon ads upon ads, and you have to click next, and basically it's maximizing basically ad revenue.
Right. Okay. So everything is monetized. Everything is an ad. It's like clickbait.
It's a clickbait page for generating revenue.
Okay. Well, right. So apparently the ones in Macedonia have cost.
I guess. I mean, maybe that's where.
Oh Jesus. I mean, I don't know if anybody's watched. Like after every election in the U.S., there is a political debrief with, I think, the leaders of the parties, like the campaign managers, some of the heads of the political pundits, and all this other kind of nonsense. And they always have this massive debrief. I think it's held at Harvard Law. I might be mistaken, either Harvard Law or the University of Virginia. And they talk it out for like 6 hours. Like, this is what we saw, this is what we thought. And it's basically kind of opening the cards to the public, right? Everybody gets to hear what's been going on. And Kelly Conway was the head of the Trump campaign, I think.
No,
I can't
Kelly
remember.
Conway was someone else.
No, she was the press secretary. I can't remember the woman's name, but the leader of the Trump campaign basically decimated, totally fucked over the campaign leader for Hillary Clinton, with the simple premise that Hillary Clinton was the worst candidate for the Democratic Party they could have ever selected.
Right.
And the idea that they're blaming all this other nonsense, right, is just unbelievable. I mean, she had to screw over Bernie Sanders in the primary, right, to get the position, which should have been indication enough that she wasn't even popular enough to win it on her own merit. But they gave it to her anyway. And now, and she said there was an interview recently on, I think, 60 Minutes or one of these, left-leaning kind of commentary things, where she admits that she didn't even write a concession speech for the election.
Yep, she was laying in bed, basically waiting for midnight to come.
Yes.
And was pretty much just like, oh, I lost.
For fuck's sake.
Like, oh, I guess I'm not going to be president. I mean, from everything she had said, it almost seemed like she felt like she not only deserved it, but she was entitled to it.
Correct.
I mean,
correct. Now, again, I'm not in the U.S. I follow some American politics and stuff like that. I definitely slant more conservative when it comes to the American candidates, because the left at this point has lost their goddamn mind. But even for us out here in the Caribbean, when that whole thing was going on, we didn't like Hillary Clinton. The only people who liked Hillary Clinton are CNN watchers, right? Clinton News Network watchers. Right. But yeah, she doesn't have a very good opinion outside of, the echo chamber, which is the Democratic Party. So, I mean, I was in Thailand doing some training, and I was there with a bunch of guys and stuff like that. And of course, all the polls were showing that she was going to win. And we were like planning out what the market response would be, what would gold do, oil do, stock market, etc., etc. And the comment that the guy in the training said is, well, what happens if Trump wins? And, he's like, what if all the polls are wrong? Like, what if everybody's got it wrong and Trump actually pulls out the win? And nobody even considered it, right? Because of all the polling data and everything else.
Right.
So when it happened, I was in London at the time when it happened. Woke up on the morning and it was clearly evident that Trump was projected to win, and I couldn't stop laughing because I was just watching the BBC and Sky News. The announcers and everybody else was just fucking imploding. They did not know what was going on. It was just epic. It was just very clear that, at least to me as an outsider, as a non-American voter, people did not like Hillary Clinton. Like the everyday person on the streets didn't trust her, as far as they could throw her.
Right.
Now, they liked Bernie Sanders. Now, as I say, I don't agree with Bernie Sanders' positions, but the man is honest, right? He's wrong, but he's sincerely honest. And, sincerely wrong. But at least he was an honest character and he was standing up for what he believed in.
Right.
And the fact that they had to screw him over to give this nomination to Hillary Clinton should have been a good indication that this wasn't going to happen. And she ran against one of the most unpopular, unfavorable candidates that the Republicans could have put out, that even the Republicans didn't want him to get elected, right? And she still couldn't win. And now it's everybody else's fault. As I put up the list, hopefully the viewers have caught a snap of that. Everybody's on that list except Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
I mean, there was a thing I saw a video that was highlighting a couple of clips of her interview, and she was talking about, okay, so the inauguration came, and, she was wondering, like, do I even go? Because
that's right.
On one hand, she lost. Usually the loser doesn't go to the inauguration. They just kind of watch it from home. But then on the other hand, her husband was president. So
yeah, because the first ladies usually come with the president sort of thing.
Former presidents, yeah. I mean, Bush was there. Clinton was, obviously, both Clintons were there. And then they probably had some other ones. But, I mean, the most prominent is being Clinton, Obama, and Bush. So
right,
she's there, and so in her interview, she's basically saying, all he was saying during his inauguration was, thank the supporters, but hey, I'm the president of all the United States. And she basically painted him as sort of like giving an inauguration speech as sort of like, his typical self.
Yes.
Of just, me, I did it, I won, I'm the best, I have the greatest words.
The greatest words, I like that.
But
yeah, it's true.
That's how she painted it in the interview. If you watch the speech, he's like, this is your America. I'm here to serve you. I did all this for you. No one is going to be forgotten. Basically, he gave a very much like a, I am here for you. We're going to take back America kind of thing. Completely contrary to what somehow her in her own echo chamber, being there in person, could not hear.
She still couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fucking echo chamber. I mean, that is... And I mean, we've encountered this, Amos. We've encountered people, and I'm hearing it more and more. Like, as I have more conversations with the left, they're so indoctrinated into their position that they believe that Trump is this white supremacist, Nazi sympathizing, KKK Grand Master, 33-degree Mason, son of Satan sort of bullshit. That even when he says he's not, they come up with this bullshit like, but we know what he really means. Like, we can read his mind. We know that's not what he really means.
Because Steve Bannon.
Because, I mean, I don't know much about Steve Bannon. I know he's very unpopular, but I understand the guy is like a brilliant strategist. Like, he understands, like apparently what needs to be done. I mean, I don't know much more about him than that. But yeah, people are literally, he's saying the exact opposite of what people are accusing him of. But they refuse to acknowledge it. They just absolutely believe that he's Hitler. And they're not going to listen to anything else.
Right. I saw my the person we've been talking about, that the individual that called me a KKK member because I asked a question about whether or not Trump actually condemned the people, the Charlottesville incident. This person also posted an article about the Miss USA pageant, I think it was. So it was Miss Texas. And she was basically, they brought up the question during their, they kind of ask these these ladies that are in the pageant, they ask them the questions like, what do you think about the issues? So they brought up, of course, the Charlottesville incident, and how do you think, what do you think of Donald Trump's response? And there was this woman from Texas, of all places.
Marvelous.
And she speaks and basically says, he would, he should have just called them out on the spot. That's it. Like, it's horrible, and he should have just called them out right away. He shouldn't have given any room for, like, basically she was saying his first statement made on it was horrible.
Right.
And so that's one thing. That's Miss USA pageant, whatever. But this individual who posted the article says, so good to see that there are actual intelligent people from Texas.
Right.
That would actually speak out as. And then I said, so my question was, so people that voted for Trump aren't intelligent?
Interesting.
I mean, I should have said, so people from Texas aren't intelligent.
Yeah, I think that is probably more in line, but yeah.
But I mean, the person kind of got my point, was like, no, it's just, and I see that attitude. That's just one instance, but you see this attitude where, I told you before, there were people commenting on replying to me in the comment before, saying I must be a Trump voter, therefore I can't read.
Right.
And in this case, you're saying people from Texas, which I'm guessing, I don't know if they were mainly Trump voters, but being probably a very conservative state, probably were Trump voters. And to just liken, Texans to not being intelligent and being surprised or pleased to hear there are still smart people there. It's like, you do know this is why you guys lost.
Exactly.
You, what was it? 60 million Americans voted for Trump.
Right.
Usually it's if you guys look at the numbers, it's usually a third of the population votes, and it's pretty close, half and half, in terms of popular vote. 60 million people voted for Trump.
Sure.
I think it was like, and then of course you have the whole, the Electoral College is bullshit because Hillary won 63 million votes.
The popular vote. Yeah. But you don't have a direct first past the post system.
Right. And then we
discussed that though, yeah.
Right. Here we are, 3 months short of an entire year since the man has been elected. About 9 months into his presidency, officially. And people are still, I'm just going to say they're still whining about it. They still think anyone who voted for the man is dumb, or stupid, or white supremacist, or KKK member, or, those 60 million.
A content miner from Macedonia.
Oh, Jesus.
It's conspiracy with the content miners.
They'll sit here and they'll try to dig everything they can on Trump. Because I stated this in a post I put up on Facebook. By the way, everyone, I'm still not a KKK member, still not a neo-Nazi, still not a white supremacist, and I did not vote for the man.
Yeah.
It's like, but if you try to defend, or if you try to clarify anything the man says, you try to keep people from going into mass hysteria over something dumb he did. Granted, the man does a lot of dumb stuff, says a lot of dumb stuff.
Correct.
But he hasn't fucked things up beyond,
He can't. There is no way that he can do anything. Yeah, if just to be blunt, if there was a president who really overstretched the bounds of the presidency, it was Obama. Obama and his executive orders. I mean, this is why DACA became an issue, because he overstepped Congress. And he did a lot of things like that, especially with the auto bailout. Basically, he moved a lot of the bondholders to the back of the line in terms of who gets paid. Normally, the banks and the bondholders get paid first in terms of repayments. I mean, he did a lot of things that were unprecedented that really screwed up, just basic property rights and business precedent. Not to mention the overreach with, Obamacare and other things like that. And so, yeah, I mean, he really, if there was somebody who could radically transform the country, he tried, especially with his spending and everything else. And it still couldn't really capsize or really make, I mean, it made things difficult, but it didn't change that much, which is a testament to the political system of the United States, where it's basically impossible for, even if a Mussolini or a Stalin really did show up, they really couldn't do anything. They really don't have that much power to say this is how it's going to be.
Right, because we're not a democracy like the rest, like
a lot of the rest of the world, yeah.
Or the rest of the country thinks. Because they like to say we're a democracy. It's like we have a democratic process. We follow democratic principles.
But you're a constitutional republic.
But we're a republic. There's ways that our constitution works, which again, that bothers me too, is no one knows about this thing called a constitution.
Right.
How it works, how important it is, why it must be followed to the best that we can, why it comes first when you come down. People are talking about DACA and they go back to the feelings, the dreamers, we're kicking out people that weren't here of their own free will. They deserve a better life and things like that. And it's like, I get that. Unfortunately, the way it was implemented was unconstitutional. And actually,
correct.
Obama admitted that DACA was unconstitutional. He said, and multiple times over the years, said, what I did obviously flies in the face of what is actually okay. It flies in the face of what is actually allowed by our Constitution. I mean, the fact that even it was just an executive order, completely, going around the Congress to pass the law. Well, not pass the law, but just make law.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and so people completely disregard the fact that there's a constitution that allows some things and doesn't allow other things, and if those things aren't followed, and you get away with it, you're a horrible president.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I think in a large part, this is what ends up happening, especially with the political class. All over the world, the political class is like this. So it's not just in the U.S. The Hillary email thing, definitely, like I was watching that because I was following was not John Podesta, but there was another guy at the CIA who had a very similar incident. He was writing a book, and I think he had requested to release some notes that were in part of a classified document, and somehow he managed to copy the documents onto a flash drive, and the flash drive was in his house or something like that. And he basically got arrested. Like, he got the full brunt of the national security force saying that he is, what he's done, that simple act of copying the top secret document and having it in his house in an unsecured fashion was enough like an espionage thing that he ended up in prison. Hillary Clinton has a whole fucking email server, right, in her house, right? And then not only does she delete, right, she suddenly has the discretion to delete emails. Her lawyer, who didn't even have clearance, starts to go through and delete emails. I mean, it was just the heights of hypocrisy, right? But this was, of course, the fundamental flaw. And again, why I think a lot of people didn't like her. It shows that it's one rule for the people, and then there's another rule for the elite. So the rule of law, which should be the foundation of any civilization, because otherwise it's the rule of force. It's whoever has the biggest gun makes the rules. So the fact that we have the precedent of the rule of law, if you're not going to uphold that and defend that, you've got real fucking problems. And this goes back to what you're saying about a constitution, right? A constitution is not there to grant rights. A constitution is there to limit government. Because what the founding fathers and most people, modern republics understand is that if the government is left unchecked, you get tyranny. And if you give too much power to one individual, as I say, they will completely destroy a country. So the Constitution is there to limit the unlimited power and strength of government. And if you're not going to respect that, then don't be surprised when they come and take away your rights.
Right. Because when you hear about the left, all you ever really hear about is what can we do to give the government more power to essentially control your life.
Correct.
It's like, yeah, it's funny you brought up the FBI and Comey and all this. It's like that here they are investigating her and that whole investigation. Well, it's their fault that she lost too,
But right, I think that was number 1 and number 2 on the list. But I mean, it's just ridiculous. People have done less than that and they've gone to prison for mishandling classified information. And then she admitted, at first she said it was no classified information. Then she said it wasn't marked classified at the time, right? And all of that is bullshit. It doesn't matter whether something is marked classified at the time or not.
The only person that is allowed to change whether something is classified or not is the president.
I'm not sure if the director of the CIA has that power too. I might be wrong.
But I know they say the president has that power too. So if hypothetically, if aliens were real and he wanted to declassify the info, he could.
Sure. I'm sure he does have that power.
Anything else.
Just aliens. Yeah. Aliens, lizard people, vampires.
Well, Hillary is a lizard person.
The theory is that the Queen of England is actually a lizard person, but
because Alex Jones. It's funny how the left will shut down people like Alex Jones because he is right-wing conspiracy theorist, but then you hear the left control the mainstream media and spout conspiracy theories left and right.
Russian conspiracy. What was it? Pissgate or whatever? Right.
Pizzagate?
No. The one with the fake document, supposedly out of the Kremlin, where the Russians of Russia
golden showers.
Golden showers, right? Pissgate or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right?
Pissgate, Showergate, Golden Gate.
Total fucking propaganda. And that was in the news cycle for months. The Russian thing was in the news cycle for months. You don't hear about that anymore. I
bet you it's coming back after these hurricanes are done.
I think it's done. I think nobody's listening to this bullshit anymore. Right? And this is what, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think for the most part, the mainstream media knows they're done. Which is why they have to go more and more extreme just to get this clickbait nonsense to try and have any significance. And I think people are watching out of pure horror, like how low will they go?
Yeah, some of these alternative news sites or just even YouTube channels have more views than CNN does.
Yeah, exactly. As in many ways, I think that's probably better. Not that every alternative news site is correct, but it shows that people are not just wholeheartedly swallowing, the public stream. I don't know if you saw Black Pigeon Speaks did a video about the conglomerates that own the media houses.
No.
You didn't say, okay, and Dave Cullum of Computing Forever, he did like a follow-up on it as well. And he basically showed how they're all saying the exact same thing. It was like this one clip about, nothing is more important than the happiness of a child. And you see 7 different TV stations say that exact same line. When it comes to the holidays, nothing is more important than the happiness of a child. All of them. and they do it again, like, this Valentine's Day, some people are deciding to go online for love and stuff like that. And you go to like 9 channels, like 9 news stations, and they're all saying the same thing. So he talks about it's the monolith of information. The media is no longer diversified. It's just everybody's saying the same nonsense.
Right.
And I think for the most part, people are tired of it.
Yeah. So, in the since we're talking about the media, so yeah, it's, Ben Shapiro, like I said, pretty much the head honcho, big guy, editor at large at Daily Wire. He runs the his show. So if you guys ever check out him, you can look up the Daily Wire. He does a live stream Monday through Friday. The guys that do shows under the Daily Wire as well.
Clavin,
Yep, Andrew Clavin, and then there's
he's funny.
Something. There's the Knowles show or something. There's another one he does, but so basically Ben Shapiro is going to be speaking today at Berkeley. And if you guys haven't followed the news, he basically he was going to speak there, and I think they canceled him. Ann Coulter was going to speak there, then they canceled her, but I think she got there. She like decided to speak in the public space, but now they scheduled him again to go out there, and Berkeley basically they did a free speech week. They're basically trying to show that they were tolerant of and of different views and trying to be diverse and stuff. And so he schedules with them, and he's invited by probably they're either some sort of right-leaning or college Republicans usually, and they're inviting him out there. And Berkeley says, "Yeah, you're totally fine to come here. You need to pay a security fee." And he's like, a security fee? What do you mean security fee? And they go, oh, I think he said it was like a $15,000 security fee, because they were going to have to provide security. The way they made it sound was like they were trying to keep everyone safe from him.
Right.
But in reality, it was to keep him safe from everyone else. So they paid the fee. They were like, he was basically going with every ridiculous, condition they had. I'll pay the fee. We'll do this. We'll do that. I think they were selling out 1,000 tickets to go, but they had heard rumors that local left-leaning Antifa, possibly some groups, were basically buying these tickets out. What they were going to do was they were going to buy a large chunk of them and then not show up, so the seats will be empty.
Right.
So he offered standby tickets.
Right.
For people to go. So what they would do is whatever tickets were forfeited when they didn't show up, they would re-offer them as standby tickets to go in. And if these student groups tried to go in and buy those out too, he said they'll just have a standby line. They'll have a line outside, and they'll basically determine leading up to the event starting today, if they have to basically fill seats.
Right.
So, but they said the tickets sold out in 45 minutes.
Which is good. That's excellent.
You're right. So it's just funny. I mean, I don't know exactly how the ticketing would work, but if someone buys one and doesn't show up and it's forfeited, and then someone else buys a ticket, you're making some money there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole premise. If it is that you forfeit your ticket, you lose on the money, right? You basically spend that money for nothing.
Yeah. So basically, Berkeley had put in the news. They were offering counseling services following the speaking event.
Oh my God.
To basically counsel people, to help people deal with the triggering and the shock of conservative views that Ben Shapiro will be sharing. Also, the news, I forgot what, there was a website or newspaper, I think it was a newspaper that basically said Berkeley braces for Ben Shapiro.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
And it was funny how the last couple weeks, what kind of word like bracing have we used to describe an event in news? Would it be hurricanes, maybe? Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Harvey. That's what they wrote in their news. Texas braces for hurricane, or Florida braces for hurricane. Berkeley braces for Ben Shapiro, a 5'6" Jewish man that is
probably like 90 pounds. The guy's tiny.
Yeah, he's a little guy. He's a little Jew, a little Jewish guy, and
Berkeley, this is just nonsense.
Berkeley is bracing for him, yeah. I mean, I think they said they've already had some protests and some riots that have already taken place before he's gotten there. I guess the place he was speaking at, the venue, some students tried breaking in and ripping up chairs.
Okay.
Which were bolted down.
I think I heard about this. I think there's another layer to the auditorium. So there's a ground layer, and then there's a top layer. And because they were expecting Antifa to show up, they cleared out the top layer because they didn't want anybody, exactly as you say, ripping the seats out and throwing it onto the crowd below.
Oh, okay.
Right. I think I heard something like that. I mean, I can't remember. But if not, I think he would have had a much bigger audience, like closer to, maybe 2,000 or more. But because of the security concerns, and this, of course, is Antifa, which CNN and their ilk praised as the anti-fascist. I don't know how Ben Shapiro, a 5'6" Jewish guy, quantifies as a fascist. But hey, this is America, man. You could be whatever you want to be.
White supremacist Jew.
Alt-right. White nationalists, Nazi sympathizing.
I don't get it. Like,
how are people this fucking stupid?
What Happened by Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Yeah, for fuck's sake, man. I mean, oh my God, it's such denial. I mean, there's just no basis in reality at all. Even like the guy that you're having these spats with on Facebook. He's pulled that shit already. It's like, we've heard the words come out of Trump's mouth, like he condemned both sides out of the Charlottesville thing. But then he claims to know how to read Trump's mind and be like, well, that's not what he really means. We know what he really means.
And then he throws it at me like, you know better. And I'm like, what? Since when did I know how to read minds? Jeez.
Yeah. This is the problem. Like, I saw it recently on I think somebody posted a Tucker Carlson live interview with one of these leftist guys and stuff like that, and it's all the buzzwords, it's all the talking points about fascist Trump, and he's got his hand on the nuclear button, and this could literally be the end of humanity, and for the sake of humanity, me and the anti-fascist people, we need to rise up and stuff like that because he's going to kill us all. And like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like these people really believe at any minute he's going to push the button and like nuke the world.
Right. I listen to people like Jordan. For those of you who don't know, Professor Jordan Peterson at the University of Toronto. He talks a lot about. He's never really come out and said, whether he's right leaning or left leaning. He just commentates as a social psychologist, about all these phenomena that is taking place in both the U.S. and Canada's political climate. And what's interesting is I listen to a lot of how he dissects sort of, what is going on and what is going on in the minds of these, my generation, these millennials and older, sort of between the late teens into the early, some in the late 20s too, but basically these college students, just a lot of this Antifa, and I wonder what's going on, and because a lot of them have this mindset going in their head of we're saving humanity, we're doing something, and what seems to be the fact is a lot of these people, I mean, you look at the kind of people they are, they really aren't, they derive some sort of significance from being a part of this, because I'm seeing we're in a position now in this country where my generation is, I'm not going to kind of follow the mainstream ideas of like, how millennials are being perceived, sort of the whole, they're privileged, they're entitled. I mean, there is definitely a lot of that. I think every generation has that when they're younger. There's always an entitlement. But I think because of what they feel entitled to and the position we're in right now, people want to derive some sense of significance. People want to derive some sense of purpose from their life. They want to go about their lives just feeling like they're part of something, they're doing something good. And seeing this ideology, the extreme left-leaning ideology of socialism, communism, sort of the social justice warrior mindset, is very easy and doesn't require much, and it actually feeds into that entitlement mentality, and it's allowing it to thrive in a way that is detrimental. So I mean, we have so much now. We have so much stuff. We have so much going for us as a society. I mean, because you don't hear about Antifa in any other country.
I mean, they do. They have it out there in Europe.
Okay, but I mean, you don't. Yeah. Okay, I should clarify. You don't hear it outside of first world Western-based countries, Western civilized countries.
I think that's an accurate statement.
Western Europe, maybe some in Eastern Europe, but mainly Western Europe and the U.S. and Canada. That's where Antifa is. And yet, in these societies and this society, we're at essentially the top of the world in terms of just what we have, what is available to us, what we can do. And Antifa is sort of an easy way that's feeding it, like I said, into that entitlement mentality that it's almost like, you talk about groupthink.
Yeah.
Talk about like the masses, how they behave, the sheep or whatever, that herd, that mob mentality is basically feeding into this boredom.
Right.
We are at such a point in our development right now. I mean, there's definitely humanity is always going to advance, but we're at a point now where I think as a group, as a society, as that social mentality goes, is a lot of people are bored.
Sure.
And feel a lack of significance. And it feeds into that so easily and so quickly that they feel they're justified in their boredom. And then when it's the slightest bit of significance, no matter how illogical and unreasonable it is, it just feeds right in. Exactly. We have so much going for us, yet in this country we're fighting for things like free college, when a majority of the rest of the world doesn't even have free basic elementary schooling.
Correct.
And we don't appreciate what we actually have. I'm not like targeting, just millennials or just a bunch of entitled people, but there's something is definitely going on because of social media and the news, just media in general, is feeding into that mentality and making it something that is not, unfortunately, it's not just going to fade away like every other generation where they were entitled to something. This one in particular, I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I feel it's just feeding way too much into it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, the need to be significant is inherent in every person to some degree, some more so than others. So yeah, in this age of social media and internet and all this other nonsense, it's easier than ever to think you're significant, even if you're not really significant. So for instance, like I have like over 3,000 friends on Facebook. At one time I had over 4,000 friends on Facebook. And I tried to explain to me, like, people were like, oh, wow, ooh, that's so amazing and stuff like that. I could have had well over 5,000 if I kept on adding them. I think I showed you my friend request list, and it's just like scrolling a list of people.
Yeah, you can't go over 5,000, though, bro. Come on, you're not.
Right, but you get followers, right? So even if you don't add them, they follow you. So even though I had 4,000 friends, I had over 900 followers. So
Right.
I wouldn't see what they post, but they would see what I post, kind of thing, right? But none of that's real. None of that is of any kind of consequence. Now, as I explained to other people, the brain does not understand the difference between reality and fiction, right? It's the reason you could go into a horror movie and you know it's not real, but you still get scared. Or like if like some chick is watching, you know, some chick flick and, you know, she's creaming over some guy on the screen who's acting, the brain doesn't know the difference, right? So you really feel those connections, right? You feel the love, you feel the fear, whatever. So even though it's not real, even though the social media is not real, it is giving people all of those same emotions like they're really popular and famous.
Right.
Right. So
that's more of the side that is contributing to, I guess, as a net neutral, I guess. There's no real net positive to it. It's not really bad. I mean, people just living, I'm just going to say, people living shitty fake lives.
yeah.
At least they're not hurting anyone, right?
Right. But that's the next part that I'm going to get to is
Right.
that once you're internet famous, oh my God, I have 1,000 whatever, like 1,000 subscribers, or, you know, so many people on Instagram looking at your tits, or whatever you've got, right? Right. You start to believe your own bullshit, right? You start to actually think you matter, and people really want to know what you have to say, which is every celebrity complex that's out there. So these non-people who have no political understanding feel that they have the right to lecture the rest of us. So now you take that out of the Hollywood sphere and you put that into the fucking colleges with these, you know, half-naked, you know, chicks with tits falling out everywhere, and they got like 100,000 Instagram followers. They think they matter, and they don't. So they now try to do something with their non-existent fame, and they pick a cause. And as you say, being online and fighting a battle that doesn't even exist is the best way to ensure that you'll always be, you know, fighting for a cause.
Right.
So you pick all this bullshit, right? You pick, for the feminists, it's manspreading, and you know, for like racial people, you know, the eclipse that happened recently, it's racist, and everybody's picking on their little thing, and they think that they are the sole savior of humanity.
Yeah.
Because they've gotten famous, you know, Facebook famous or whatever
But
the hell it is.
see, here's the real problem: is people actually believe them and follow them.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do.
Because,
like, I'm sure even like you have a younger sibling. I don't know if they're on social media and stuff like that. But I'm sure, because I think my generation, yeah, we're on social media. We kind of stopped off at Facebook. We don't really get into much else. Like your generation, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. I mean, I have Snapchat. I don't fucking use Snapchat. I probably will never use Snapchat. But the younger generation, I'm sure they live on their phone. And for them, that's all they've known.
Right. And that's the thing is I'm sort of in that generation, and you would kind of fit in there too. But
yeah, technically I would.
But I mean, it just the understanding that reality versus social media. So, you know, you saw me post about this where so often people have these videos and they post some sort of video that went viral, and it's not necessarily all the people that have thousands of followers. It's just a video went viral because of the way we are, just the way what we share, why we share it. So you see a lot of these videos on like you know, AJ Plus, or just people, or just Facebook. AJ Plus, you know, being Al Jazeera Plus, for those of you who don't know, the news ass cancer of Facebook.
The propaganda wing of the Qatar government. Right.
So you see all this stuff, and they're posting these videos of, you know, old lady with makes, you know, racist Nazi comments in shopping mall while waiting in line because the person was Mexican, or just I mean, day-to-day interactions. I mean, you know, and there's literally billions of interactions that go on in the U.S. and all across the world. But, you know, these videos are obviously in the U.S. So billions of interactions every day, and you just so happen to catch one video of an old lady with a really shitty mindset you never even know if she just had a shitty day. I mean, there's a whole bunch of factors that don't play in that basically detach the person from the sort of
context.
The context. And what happens is you have that lady, this old lady wearing glasses, in a shopping mall that looks typical, white American, probably middle class, and she's spouting off something about, some Mexican lady going back to her country. She's spouting off something about maybe an Arabic lady wearing a burqa to go home, or, stop bombing, 9/11. They
Sure.
a lot of very incendiary, very horrible things they say. Now, is that a horrible situation? Totally. Not right. You shouldn't be doing that in public. However, does that one instance instantly validate the fact that 60 million people in November all behave like that, have those thoughts, and would totally do that all the time? No.
Exactly. It doesn't, there's no correlation.
In this age of over information, there was this YouTuber that I watched that actually called it infobesity.
Right, that's a good word, yeah.
Where we're essentially obese with information to the point that it's too much. I mean, scientists have actually said that for the amount of information we actually absorb nowadays, being with social media, videos, and everything, the brain definitely handles it, but it's beyond what the brain has ever been designed to deal with.
Right.
Sort of like, it's interesting because it's like, just with foods or drinks we have, like our bodies are definitely not suited to take all the sugar that we do, but we still do. So in the same way with information, we're so overloaded with information. I mean, you hear about people that go on these Facebook sort of fasts. They basically cut off Facebook, cut off social media, and they realize like how different it is, because your brain is not meant to do all that. And what happens is your brain is literally racing all the time. So anyways, back to the kind of what I'm saying is because we're so informed, we're actually too informed, and we know too much of what's going on, that anything we see in this world where you can literally know everything, we think all of those things always happen.
Correct.
I mean, it'd be anything from that racist thing to someone doing like a kind thing, because there's that really nice. So the way they'll paint it is you have the one racist lady, so therefore millions of racists out there. But you have the one.
All white people are racist.
But then if you have the one good white cop that's like doing a video where he's like dancing with a bunch of the black kids in the neighborhood, he's like 1 in a billion.
Right. He's the exception.
Right. And it's like it's interesting because we're so the way it has so many effects on people that it completely fucks over just living in reality.
Correct.
We're not really in reality anymore, which is why we have such a rise in a lot of these extreme ideas.
No, you're exactly right. Like I tackle this a lot in the dating arena with like intergender dynamics and stuff like that. So it's all the same thing. It's social media has just totally skewed everything, and it's not made it any better. So like, back in before the internet age and stuff like that, before we had like mass communication and mass transportation and all these other things, you kind of was stuck in your village, your town, wherever the bus ticket will take you, and you kind of made a life for yourself there. You marry your high school sweetheart and all this good stuff or whatever, right? So it was a lot different. But now with social media and with everything else, men and women are now picking from a dating pool that is 7 billion plus, potential people, right? So let's say like half of those are married and stuff like that. So like 3 billion people around the world that are trying to hook up, right? Those are astronomical things, right? We don't have the faculties to try and screen through all of that. And especially for women, like I try to explain this to a lot of guys sometimes. What a beautiful woman going through the day is not going to have the same experience as a guy you know, like even a decent looking guy going through the day. You know, she's going to get catcalled. She's going to get people heckling her, people hitting on her, asking her for a number and stuff like that, at least a couple times in a day. Now imagine like she puts herself on Facebook, Instagram, or one of these kind of platforms, and she's being hit up constantly. The prospect of filtering through all of that noise to find somebody decent, it's next to impossible. It's fucking impossible, right? And it's the same thing with this social media, just having decent friends. Like, I mean, you and I have met. You and I have spent time together, you and my brother and stuff like that. And I think I have like a handful of people that I could see in my like Facebook arena that are family and friends that I really hold very dear to myself. But a lot of them are just names. But nonetheless, a lot of these people still see the need to try and criticize and critique my life, right? So like, for instance, I have these wonderful trolls that are on my video about why I left Trinidad and Tobago. And I mean, you know, they're not even real accounts. They're fake accounts created for the purpose of trolling my channel, right? There's no videos, there's no likes, no subscribers, no photograph, nothing. And these people spew off the most vile, hatred-filled kind of comments on my wall. Like the last one I saw, somebody was wishing that I'd be run over by a dump truck while I'm in the UK. Like death, right? And all of the critics all say the same thing. Don't come back to Trinidad. Don't come back to Trinidad. And it amazes me that these people who I don't even know who the fuck they are think that I'm going to listen to them. These echoes of the internet, like they think they're so fucking important and so, you know, so out there that I, who don't even know who they are, I'm going to listen to what they have to say. You're fucking delusional. Like, you are just so disconnected from reality, it's unfunny. And this is the problem. A lot of these people buy in to the bullshit because when you get the likes and the clicks and the views and all this stuff, it does feed all of those ego triggers and endorphins in the brain, and it feels good and all this stuff. But very few of us are willing to admit that, look, it's not real. And, you know, we don't buy into it. Right. For those of us that do, it's liberation. But for a lot of people, they're stuck in the fucking matrix. And if your whole world revolves around being popular, you don't explore outside your echo chamber, right? You don't. You know, if you're in the Tumblr crowd, you don't suddenly go listening to like red pill stuff on YouTube, right? You'd be ostracized. And that plays into the whole problem.
Yeah.
It's messed up, man.
I know. I was about to say, don't come to America.
Yeah, America, man. America's really messed up. Like, you guys can't keep your shit together, man.
I don't know what's going on over here. I mean, you know, and here's the thing: when you don't participate in the group think, the group mentality, you're ostracized. Even if you don't contribute, if you're not participating in either side. I mean, if you're on the right, they can at least kind of, okay, we know where you are. Yeah. When you're somewhere like you and me, where we're, you know, we identify as libertarians, straight white male, heteronormative, patriarchal libertarians.
Damn right.
We're actually almost just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah, so everybody on the right is a Nazi. Everybody in the center is a Nazi sympathizer, right? That's basically where they view us, right?
And anything right of the left, but not on the center, is a Nazi apologist.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's just ludicrous. It's the two things that bother me with it is, one, okay, you've gotten to the point where you've lost the argument to the point where you have to name call. And anybody who knows, if you're doing ad hominem attacks, you've lost the argument. Okay, so the left has basically lost the argument. Fine. But what bothers me even more than that is that they think people actually care. That, you know, the random people on Twitter and other places are calling.
Unfortunately, though, Brooke, you know as well as I do, too many people care.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Which is what is going on. I mean, if you guys also ever see the what's going on with Twitter and YouTube, because too many people care, you have the adpocalypse on YouTube, you have the suspended or timed out accounts on Twitter, banned accounts, simply because of just, you know, spouting an unpopular opinion. You have people who can now, you know, because Twitter is supposed to be this essentially a marketplace of ideas, and you have people that will not only block other people. I mean, you can blocking people. I kind of get it, but when it becomes a problem now when Twitter starts stepping in, and Twitter is essentially not only are they you know, creating an echo chamber, they're also allowing people to have echo chambers. You know, people have what are called protected tweets now, where you can only have your tweets, no one else can read them or reply to them, so you can't be criticized. And if you ever criticize something and Twitter doesn't like it, you know, there's a lot of these things that are basically flying in the face of free speech on the internet because too many people care about what other people think on the internet.
Correct.
The trolls are essentially being fed very well when you start. You're basically telling them that they're getting to you.
Yeah.
So I mean, so what is the inevitable fact is the trolls will just become more and more vicious. But
yeah, I mean, this is what I go back to about the comments that are on my YouTube channel. I mean, I don't even respond. I mean, they're so ridiculous, and they're just so out there. It's, you know, I know it. Don't feed the trolls. Don't feed the fucking trolls.
And I mean, yeah, coming to Trinidad, sucking our economy dry.
Yeah. You know, melanin deficient, you know, cave dweller. It's just bullshit. And to watch people get so caught up in it, and you see what ends up happening is, as you say, you now have an online presence and you feel somewhat significant, and you have a community that you think understands you. Then you think you could step out, right? So some people take that and then they move on to the Antifa side, where they actually join protests and they start to do whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Antifa thing is concerning. I mean, so far they've been pretty weak. I think like they've kind of investigated a couple of them. They're not, you know, the hardcore, like the black bloc thing that they've got in Europe and stuff like that. They're kind of, you know, soft leftists, you know, marching around pretending to be communists and all this other bullshit. But they're not the hardcore stuff. They're not true believers. I think a lot of them are just kind of following along in the narrative because that's where their crew is. And
right.
That all comes from that online community. Again, it all comes from there, and really taking all of that stuff too seriously.
Didn't Antifa come up with their own alternative to 4chan?
I think they did. I can't remember.
Because there was the slash poll,
yeah,
on 4chan that was sort of the alt-right / right-wing / centrist, just a lot of stuff going on politically. And then they tried to basically make their sort of like Antifa - poll or something like that.
Right. I'm sure that didn't go well.
The alt-left.
The alt-left. Yeah, Trump coined that, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think it's it's very true, because there are the leftists, and then there are the classical liberals.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because you hear about a lot of these guys. You know, I mean, you hear about like Sargon of Akkad, Dave Rubin, just classical liberals, and it's funny how you can agree with them more. I mean, you definitely wouldn't agree with them. Like you really listen to them, and this is the big thing now, is actually listening to people, listening to their views. You know, they would still believe in a sort of a more regulated capitalism. They would still, you know, believe in more, you know, wealth, things like welfare, things like, you know, more, you know, left leaning, just more, you know, certain things like where government, they believe it should be allowed to, you know, kind of interfere. But they'll still stick with things like free speech, you know, the marketplace of ideas, you know, capitalism to a degree.
Yeah.
And yet they are considered right wing or
alt-right.
Alt-right.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
I mean, like the likes of Milton Friedman, even like F.A. Hayek. He was the author of The Road to Serfdom. You know, a lot of these guys would have been considered classical liberals, where, you know, they believed in the more freedom that you give the population and stuff like that, you know, the more prosperous, and you know, all the other good stuff that comes out of it. But I mean, that doesn't resemble the left of today. The left of today is progressive, which is like one step beyond freedom, in the sense that they're trying to get justice, or social justice and equality of outcome. So that's what makes this,
they forget the fact that disparity does not equal injustice.
Correct. I mean, there's probably like about 3 feet difference between me and the next NBA player, and you know,
that's racism, though.
Right, exactly. That's heightism, right? So because I'm shorter than the NBA player, you know, I didn't even get to the race part, right? But yeah, you know, they somehow think that that's an injustice, that needs to be corrected by society. No, I'm fucking short, right? I'm not going to make the NBA. It's fine.
But see, here's the thing, though, Brooke. A woman of the same skin color, the same weight, and the same height should totally do everything you can do.
Right.
Because
those are biology. Because vaginas don't believe in science. So
yeah.
If your vagina has beliefs unto itself, you might want to get that checked. But anyway, yeah. So the science is out there, and look, I am all for freedom, but I have to understand that there, you know, one of the early lessons I learned from Robert Kiyosaki in his book Rich Dad Poor Dad was life is not fair. Right? This idea that life is fair is a fallacy. But the fact that life is not fair is actually good news. It means you can have as much or as little as you want. But you got to work for it. You got to go out there and do what you got to do. Right? So if I spend all my time on Netflix and, you know, picking out with pizza and beer, don't be surprised.
Hey. Just kidding.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if life, you know, hands you a bunch of shit sacks. And say, oh, thanks you very much. You know, that's just your portion, right? But this is it. We get very much what we give in. And for some reason, you know, people just do not like that idea. They think everything should be equal, including the outcome. So if somebody wants to go bankrupt some corporation building a mechanical contraption where I could, you know, dunk a basketball as good as an NBA player, you know, good on them, but that's not worth it. Right? That's not society's responsibility, but for some reason people think it is. That's just bullshit.
I wonder what's going to happen with, you know about the CRISPR technology?
The what?
CRISPR, the genetic editing.
Oh, no. I think I
genetic engineering. So genetic engineering is making it's just a little side point here, but I honestly wonder. So it's called CRISPR, and they're talking about sort of the beginnings of technology where we'd be able to have, you know, designer babies.
Right.
And I wonder if that'll be the future social justice frontier of making sure genetic engineering we would all be engineered the same.
I don't know. I mean, the genetic engineering thing is a very interesting question. I mean, obviously you've seen the movie Gattaca, right?
Right. Well, yeah, that's the when they talked about it in the news stories that I've read, they immediately referred to Gattaca with, you know, the designer babies, just the way society will perceive the what is it, invalids? What are they called in there? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
They call them invalids
or something.
Yeah. And yeah, people were all just designer people.
Yeah.
You know, perfect physique.
I mean, yeah, we could be going that way. But at the same time, there's a lot about the DNA that we don't understand, right? So I think we will do some genetic manipulation, but I don't know if we'll ever get to the point of, you know, really solving all of the problems from simple DNA.
You never know. We'll end up just like turning into a bunch of Cronenbergs, right?
That's a Rick and Morty reference if anybody doesn't know. But yeah, pretty much. Like you see, like the issue with DNA does not contain body plans, right? DNA is used for proteins, right? So the structure of your body, we still don't quite know where that comes from in the DNA data.
Well, they've made like glow-in-the-dark pigs.
Right, so you can take attributes such as like the glow-in-the-dark or blue eyes or stuff like that, and you could write that into the DNA. But how the body knows to move that information from the DNA strand to the eyes, etc., etc., we still don't quite fully understand. So you could probably get some good features, but I don't think we could like totally transform the body plans of a person. Like there's not going to be any six-finger pianist, you know, anytime soon. Maybe sometime they'll figure it out, but so far we don't know how to do that yet.
Right.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Well, we're coming up on our time here, a little over, but
really, wow, that was cool.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. So yeah, I mean, trying to get some more topics here going. I'm surprised. I feel there should be a whole lot more going on nowadays with the news, but
yeah, you would think so, but you know, I mean, I've been traveling, so I've been out of it. I haven't had the chance to follow it. I mean, we haven't discussed the things in Texas and Florida with the hurricanes and the global warming, and is it global warming and all this other nonsense, and or is it just, you know, bad script from the day after tomorrow, all that good stuff. We didn't really get around to that, but we could do that another time.
Dennis Quaid is going to show up and save the day. So. An even more inconvenient truth. I was wrong. The world's not underwater yet.
That's just ridiculous.
But yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. For those of you who are watching, right now we're still kind of in the stages where people are watching afterwards. But I'm definitely hearing some good feedback every now and then. People talking about it. Hopefully, we can also get some more guests. Hopefully, you know. You never know, the time difference might change because Brook was in the UK, he's in Trinidad. It might change again. He's definitely traveling around a lot. So, but you guys will be seeing that here in the next couple weeks. But yeah, thanks for joining us today, guys. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media. I know Brook is on a couple of extra social media websites than I am. That'll all be in the description below.
That's right.
That's right. Exactly. And yeah, like I said, like and subscribe to my channel. Like and subscribe to Brook's channel. He's definitely putting out a lot more content than I am.
That's right.
And he definitely has a lot of good stuff on other topics as well. So.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thanks for watching today, guys.
All right, everyone. Take care. Thanks for watching.